Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 20 of Beyond Retro. I'm Nathan Kennedy, and joined by the usual cast of characters. I'm already messing up the intro.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 20.
Oh, great. Well, look at that. Wow.
You had the volume turned up on your computer, huh?
Yeah.
With that 10-second delay.
We're live, pal. Jesus.
Wait, can I do this again? No, it's live, pal.
Man, that's gonna sound so good when the audio version of that goes up. Maybe Doug can just cut this out and start it over. Yeah, episode 20, joined by Tyler and Joe Amato. And if I seem a little irritated, it's because today's topic sort of sour on me right now because of yesterday's experience, and we'll get into that. But before we do, we'll let these guys make fun of me and say hello to everyone in the chat.
Yeah, I'll just say hello to JSP in the chat room, VJ Juggalo in the chat room, and Tamara Shipper are here. So thank you for joining us. And yeah, hey, I'm just like you guys. I'm sitting here and I'm just actually looking forward to hearing what Nathan and Tyler both have to say for their experiences at this Mad Monster, meeting all these celebrities from iconic movies and TV shows, whatever it may be, that obviously we usually discuss on the show. So now to meet them in person, I was like, I just got to hear this. So I'm going to kind of almost be an observer, just like the people in the chat room. I'm looking forward to hearing you two and what kind of experiences you had.
Well, we have a lot of stories to tell, and I learned the lesson of not having the actual YouTube link up when I start this from now on. That's so embarrassing. That really sucks. That really, really sucks. All right, Tyler, go ahead.
Yesterday, regardless of some of the details we get into, I think yesterday was a success. It was the first time me and Nathan had been back in about 3 years. We kind of swore off after our fourth year that we just had enough of this particular convention. If the prices were getting too high, the guests would not be as warm and cordial when you're paying them a lot of money just to spend a few moments with them to tell them, hey, I appreciate your work. You know, it's so we this guest list kind of is what brought us back. What made us say, okay, you know what? I think this is worth giving it a shot, that we can, not go crazy and spend too much money like I would always do. Nathan kind of got better about that as the years went on, but I was really bad about spending loads of cash. And I'm like, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm not going and forking over money and not being able to guarantee that some of these people are going to be, treating me with, like I'm a human being, as opposed to, beat a kid, you buy them, give me the money kind of thing. But overall, it was good. I think even though we had some a sour experience in one particular incident, it makes it a memorable experience. Was as we talk about the good stuff, it outweighs the bad, in my opinion. And we may even touch on past experiences. But what makes it fun is that no matter what, Nathan's always pissed off at these events. It doesn't matter what venue it's at. There's something that Nathan gets really pissed off about, and he's real vocal about it in front of people in public places.
I can't help myself.
Yeah, but I mean, some of it's just like, and I did my absolute best yesterday. I'm like, you know what? We're here, kind of expected. Don't worry about it, dude. Let's not stress and worry about it.
And to be fair, there was a point you're like, oh, you're actually handling this a lot better than I thought you would.
Well, once we finally made the decision, I think it was waiting for Nathan. Right, and we'll just start right off. I mean, we got there. It was it was crowded, and for Saturday there were still people lined up who had already bought tickets, waiting to get inside. So it was crowded to get in, which is kind of to be expected on a Saturday. And it's grown over the last several years. We didn't make the last two. Don't know how that was.
I think before we kind of get into how yesterday went. The topic here is the Mad Monster Party convention in Charlotte, North Carolina. And the way that this came about is, Tyler and I have been friends for, like 18, 19 years, something like that.
Yeah.
And we always, at a certain point, because conventions have always been around for years and years, but they really started to hit their stride with the, how would I word this, like the common audience, like before it was just this little niche thing, and now it's sort of blown up thanks to, you know, like Walking Dead and popular sci-fi show, Doctor Who, things like that. And we always wanted to attend one of these, but they were always far away, always on the West Coast or too far north, like New York, things like that. And it just happened upon it. Like, here's one in Charlotte, which is about a 2.5 hour drive. And it's mainly a horror convention. There's sci-fi people that show up. There's professional wrestlers, since Charlotte's sort of like a hotbed for professional wrestling. And we decided to go. And our experience that first year compared to what we experienced yesterday in terms of like the attendance, it's grown immensely. And while that's a good thing, they haven't changed the venues much. And we'll kind of get more into that, but they sort of stick to like the hotel ballroom aspects. Like, the rooms are huge, but once you start piling in hundreds, thousands of people in there, like it's really, really crazy. And that's part of the reason I get mad, and why I've gotten mad the past few years, is because as the crowds have grown, it just ushers in this whole other thing of like, not to sound elitist, but like poser fans. Like yesterday, for example, I heard a guy, it's like, yeah, you know, I got Michael Myers' autograph. I got Jason, but he couldn't tell you like who the person like was by their name or anything. They're just like, I met Michael Myers, I met Jason. It's like, you met Michael Myers from Halloween 1, and you met Jason from the god awful Freddy versus Jason. And that's the other thing that pissed me off. There's so many people there that had Freddy versus Jason merchandise. It was so annoying. You probably would have loved it, Joe. And I've been kind of rambling on and on, so I'll let Tyler kind of jump in here.
It was mass hysteria. There was so many people there, which was, you know, it's good to see such a good turnout, you know, because we you know, seen slim pickings, and it kind of is a little kind of kills the mood when you see so few people around, things like that. But we got there, it was mass hysteria all over the place. We were trying to figure out where guests were at. You know, we come into this one ballroom. Once we finally get downstairs and see the cast of aliens is lined up all together, but it was people all over them. You couldn't figure out where the hell their line started. And we finally figured out, you know, where Lance's line started. But then we also saw that the lineup for Robert Englund was starting down the hallway adjacent to where Lance's line was at. And we just felt like, and these people are doing panels and photo ops. So we're trying to time everything to where we catch people before they take off and do their panels and stuff. And we just decided, let's just stay put and get Lance's autograph before he gets pulled away. And Nathan was like, I think we should go get Robert's on. I'm like, God, if we do that, we won't get anybody's.
Yeah, it was a huge time crunch, because the way that they had their schedule laid out is from the doors open at 11, and basically from the start of that till about 1:30, Robert Englund was going to be doing photo ops, which is going to be another topic we're going to hop into at some point. And then he had a Q&A panel after that, I think. And then as soon as he was back from that, all the three members of the Aliens cast were going to go do either a photo op or a Q&A. So when we got there, you know, the line's there. We got about 20, 30 minutes before the Aliens cast leaves. Michael Bihn's line was pretty long, and Lance Henriksen's line wasn't as long. So as Tyler said, we hopped into that one. But it was kind of like, well, what the fuck do we do? Because the line for Robert Englund just to get an autograph was ever growing. And it reaches a point where it's like, do we just wait to get their autographs and stand in this line for who knows how long? Because, you know, Robert Englund loves to take his time with everyone. And while that's fantastic, he had a line of, I don't even want to know the exact number of how many people were waiting in line. But yeah.
It was snaking. The line for him was snaking down multiple hallways. We'll put it that way, where we just, and then we realized that there was also a line for Mick Foley adjacent to that one as well. So it was trying to figure, there was no they always get the worst staff in the world. They don't tell you where lines are at. You just had to ask other nice fans who were just trying to help out other fans. Hey, they know this is the line for Robert. That's the line for Mick Foley. And we realized that and we'll get to Lance's experience too, but we realized that the line for Robert was like, oh my God, if we don't do it now, we'll have to wait even longer. So we bit the bullet and wandered back down the hallway. I think we wandered down at least three corridors.
It was terribly set up the way that they had that line, because you're basically in a little hallway of like the back rooms of this hotel, and between Robert England's line and Mick Foley's line, there's just this little narrow space for people to walk just in between. And not to sound too mean, but there were a lot of heavy set people trying to just squeeze their way through there. And Tyler had his Nightmare 3 poster and his Aliens poster, because they're folded posters. He had them in a cardboard like packet that he sort of like taped together, just to keep it from getting damaged. And people kept bumping into that. I had a book bag on me that I had to take off and just sit in front of me because people kept like knocking into it. And like the staff there, just every year from the first year to now, like they just don't know anything. It's like, I don't know if they don't take the time to like station people and be like, this is what you need to do. If this line is starting to do this, you need to get people over here. I don't think they bother to do any of that. They just have, like, I asked someone yesterday, and Tyler even talked to a couple of staff, and it's like, hey, I have this question. I don't know. Like, what kind of, how do you not train the people at least like where you're stationing them, what they need to do? I just, that's part of the irritation.
No, I guess we're emphasizing a lot of negative here too. I mean, there were a few people that looked like they knew what they were doing, and every guest has got someone with them to remind them, hey, you've got a panel in 30 minutes, you've got a photo op in 50 minutes. Just kind of keeping people, staying with them, helping them out with stuff like that. So there were a few people walking, but for the most part, the staff was not very helpful. And we waited in Robert's line for, I think, about 30, 40 minutes. Way down and the line kept building and further down the hallway. And it was very uncomfortable. They had people working at the hotel pushing beverage carts down the same hallway, trying to get to the little barkeep area that was down the other side of the hallway. It was uncomfortable. Nathan was losing patience. He was cussing and just throwing, he was just losing it. And
in a funny way.
In a funny way, there was, you worry if people are like, oh God, this guy down here won't stop cussing, throwing fits. I've got my child down here or something like that, And some of it was funny. You could hear people laughing, because Nathan was, I think, venting a lot of things what people were saying. There was there was no communication at all. So closing in, I'd say we were probably not far from an hour standing way down this hallway as the line is building. The line just makes this big jump, and we all start moving up. And I think we waited maybe another 5 minutes, and the staff walked over and said, hey, we're capping the line for Robert England. There will be
for the day. For the day. This was around
1:30, around 2:00.
And he was signed. They have the guest signing there until 7.
Yeah.
And they capped it for the day. And they did this thing. It's like, oh, well, if you got a Saturday ticket, you can come back tomorrow and you don't have to pay anything for an extra ticket. You come wait in line. I'm like, well, I mean, motherfucker, like we drove 2.5 hours. Mm-hmm. Like, what? I'm not going to make the trek down there again and spend more money on gas just to that. Like they knew ahead of time that, because they've been trying to get Robert England for years.
Yeah.
I think.
Oh, that's the first time. That's the first time he's ever been there.
That's the first time he's ever been to that convention, and they've been trying since the beginning to get him, and they finally got him. And I guess they expect, and they've done it before with other guests. Like Bruce Campbell showed up one year, and he was only there on a Saturday, and they were like, "All right, well, we'll do like pre-orders for autographs. That way, anyone that wants one can get one." And they should have done that, but I feel like if they had done that, they would have just sold more and then probably screwed people out again.
So what was it, a 3 day event or what?
Yeah, it takes place from Friday through Sunday.
And so, was Robert, I mean, are most of them there for the whole weekend, or just maybe some of them just 1 or 2? Or?
Yeah, no, Robert was going to be there the whole weekend, but like they did the same thing on Friday, apparently, from what I heard, is they capped the line for him again. It's like, oh, come back tomorrow. And then, you know, it's like, how many times do you get screwed over through that? They should have had another system in place. Or, you know, as much as he likes to take his time with everyone, and that's amazing because we have a lot of experiences with people that we met and we just talked to for like 20, 30 minutes at these things. But with that high demand, they should have been like, look, you know, say hi, maybe spend like 2 minutes with each person and just zip through it. I know it sounds terrible to say, but with that demand, it would have benefited a lot more people this go around, because you can go to their page and look at the discussion, and a lot of them are just really mad that they missed out, or they were the next one in line and then it got capped. And it's like, well, that I was, sorry, go ahead, Tyler.
Yeah, that was, you know, and we already said too, if we're waiting around 3 hours, you know, like if it gets close to, you know, 4 o'clock and we're still waiting in line, you know, we still had everybody else to get autographs for, and the place was jam packed. I was at that point, like, if we waited that long, I'll pass, because we got everybody else we like to try and spend time with and see. And, you know, and I had always heard Robert's a big talker anyway. And of course, when we got there, it was all confirmed that Robert will be taking his time with his fans and everything, which was cool. However, when we're waiting down the hallway, Robert comes down the hallway that we're in. So we did get to see him.
Yeah.
Okay. He was as close to me as this lamp is right here. I mean, and he was taller than I thought he would be. It was so surreal. And I mean, he kind of kept his head down because he's trying to get through everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, we're all just kind of, everyone, you know, there's some clapping and cheering, and everyone's just kind of in awe, like, oh my God, there he is. There's Robert Englund. There's Freddy Krueger himself. And once he passed and went down the hall, and Nathan's like, oh my God, I should have just said, hey, here's my money, and throw $80 at him. Can you sign this real quick? And get the hell out of there, you know?
Yeah.
Which got a lot of people laughing about that, because, you know, everybody was just like, oh man, you know, we'll never get around. And sure enough, a lot of people did not get to do it.
Yeah.
So I was bummed, but, you know, the cast of Aliens, I'd say I held that an even higher priority, because Robert is what got me to say I'll go. But when the Aliens cast was announced, I'm like, that raises the bar even more of like, I'm going even more to see the Aliens cast. So yes, I'm extremely bummed, because we may never get another opportunity to see Robert in person, as hard as it was to get him on the East Coast for this convention. But we did get to see him. We barely got to see him at his table. He was bombarded with crowds all over the place. You barely even got to see him at his table. So it was cool. The photo ops looked like people had a lot of fun with it, but they wanted, I think, $150, $120 to get a picture with him. You know, it was just one of those things where you felt like if they knew the demand for this guy, which they should have known, they should have had a better process. And they go through this every year. They bring in a pretty big guest, at least one, and they're never prepared for it. They will continue to sell tickets, because I guess they're just trying to rack up as much money as they can. And they realize they've sold too many pre-order tickets for this and that. And like, oh my God, we shot ourselves in both feet and put a bullet in both my hands as well somehow. They just never put a cap on it. It's like they'll tell you in advance, hey, you need to buy your tickets now. It's the last day for them. Like, no, it's not. You're going to continue to keep selling tickets till the day of. And
yeah. And they've never learned their lesson with that. No. And to touch on the photo op thing, like the first year that we went, I think it was there was one photo op for just like one person that was there. I don't even remember who the fuck it was.
James Hong.
Oh yeah, James Hong. Yeah, because Tyler did that. But the photo op was like right there. And then as each year passed, it's like they kept pushing the photo ops more and more. And what that did was shifted this dynamic of, before you could go to a table, pay money for the autograph, and then the picture was just like with the price of the autograph. And then it started to turn into, well, you pay X amount of money for the autograph and pay X amount of money for a picture. with them at the table. Then it turned into, well, I'm only doing photo ops, so the only thing you can get at the table is an autograph. And that's
Real
what.
quick, Nick,
Yeah, go ahead.
One quick question. When Tyler, you said earlier 120, did you say it was $120 to get a picture with Robert Englund? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm assuming that the other people, I mean, it was always maybe different prices for each person you went up to. I mean, that wasn't like a set price for every single celebrity, was it, or what?
Okay. Yeah, no, they all have different prices ranging from like $20 to Robert Englund for an autograph was charging $80, which that damn it. That's the other part of it that I hate is as the years have gone, the prices have just started because of the popularity of conventions. It's sort of just taken off the last like 5 years. We sort of, the first year we went, caught like the tail end of, I guess, like the good times of conventions as far as like pricing is concerned. Because when we went that first year, the autographs were like $20-$30. Now it's like, I think the minimum we paid yesterday was $40. So yeah.
It also depends too on the guests as well. Like, you know, as we'll get into it, one of the guests that I frequented, all she wanted was $20. You got an autograph and a picture and talk with her. It just depends. The Aliens cast, they were a high dollars, and then you know, you can get an autograph or you can get a picture or you can get a combo, and it kind of gives you like a discount. You know, if you want both, you could get like $10, which that's what we all did. We all wanted pictures with the Aliens cast and an autograph. But the photo ops, those varied in prices too. You could get one with Lance, you get one with all three. That was $150. One with Robert's $120, and it really just depended on, you know. And it's pretty cool. I've gotten several photo ops. I don't regret the ones I did get. I paid, you know, $100 for Hulk Hogan's autograph and picture for both. It was worth it. It was awesome. It's a good photo. It just depends on how much money you're willing to spend, and you know, if that means that much to you, because some people aren't offering pictures at the table. But fortunately, I think everybody that was there yesterday, other than Robert, was offering pictures at their tables as well, because not everybody was doing photo ops.
Well, I got something for you, Tyler, real quick. I don't know if I never knew if her name was Felissa or Felissa Rose, but the actress that played Angela from Sleepaway Camp. And I see you posted a picture of her, because now I guess you guys can talk about some of the positive stuff. But I just remember, you know, as a kid, I was, you know, when I first seen the movie, I was like, this girl was pretty hot. I love, you know, seeing her in that movie. And then at the end with that freaky moment that still freaks me out to this day, when she's standing there with that psychotic smile and that penis, I was like, what the fuck just happened? So you got to meet her, which, oh man, that must have been a pleasure. My God. But go ahead.
Man, Tyler's face was just like beet red. Yeah. He was like, oh my God. He's like, she's so hot. She's so hot. And I was on the fence about meeting her and getting the autograph, and ultimately I passed. So I'm like, oh, you know, I'll be the camera guy when you go for the picture. But like his face completely red. Yeah. He walks up and he's just like all grinning, and he's like putting out the vibe to her. And I'm just like standing there like, what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen?
She was extremely nice to me. Like, and unfortunately, when I went over to her, there was just one person in front of me, and she looked over at me and was just, you know, wide-eyed and was very, very friendly. And I started kind of fumbling my words a bit too, because
he did. He got tongue-tied. It was
that's rare. That's pretty rare.
It was adorable.
Yeah, it was. But you know, hey, that's when you're looking at someone as beautiful as she was. I'm like, you know what? This is just what happens. This is, you know, I was just so smitten with her, and it was just even more epic when you actually approach her. See her from a distance, you're like, oh my God, there she is. Because I told Nathan, I said, there she's over there, man. He's like, are you gonna go to the? Yeah, I think I'm gonna do it now. And it was just one of those things, like you're going to go ask out the really hot girl in high school. Like, you're just like, by God, I'm going to do it. That was the kind of emotion that was going through my mind. And God, man, she could not have been more welcoming. I mean, it was, she was so, and I had in my mind, I was going to ask her a question about the film, but I got so engrossed in just like looking at her. And she was, I mean, you see the dress in the pictures, and she was so shapely, like her body felt so nice, and her hair smelled really good and everything, man. I was If I had there was a clock on my pants, it'd been the high noon right there. It was
Oh,
God
shoot.
Almighty, man.
Did you get her number? Did you ask her for her number?
I didn't see a wedding ring on her finger, but I did notice there was a tattoo around her wedding ring finger. So, and I knew before she has been married. If she still isn't, maybe she probably still is. Believe me, I looked, but she was very flirtatious with me, and which I saw that she wasn't like that with everybody. She was very warm and friendly with everybody, though.
Yeah, because even after I took the picture with him, she looks at me. She's like, "Thank you so much." I'm like, "I didn't fucking do anything. I just took the picture." But I mean, thank you. You're nice.
That's really good. That's great.
I just I just kind of told her, I was like, I'd like to get a picture and an autograph with you, and she was just telling me about her new latest film, Hatchet 4, Victor Crowley.
Oh yeah.
And I had forgotten that had come out, but I told her, I said I wasn't aware of it because I was completely at that point. Nothing was going through my mind except I'm so infatuated with this woman here. So and she could have told me, I heard you on a podcast about He-Man. I am, I've been completely dumbfounded.
Just walk up there with a piece of paper. You're just saying autograph. He's like, he can't say nothing else.
I mean, I did, get the words out. If someone as beautiful as she was, all I could tell her was like how attractive she was. Like of all things to ask this woman or talk to her about, I'm talking about how attractive she is. Like that's all I was talking about.
That's great.
The autograph and wrote my name down and everything. And I told her which one I wanted. And I was like, I want the beauty shot there. And it was.
Oh yeah, she's like sprawled out on a couch, and like you can almost see up her dress.
Yeah. Oh, it was the only one left, and the guy next to her was just like even telling us like, who's gonna take that one picture of you? What guy's gonna want that? I'm like, that's gonna be me, because I wanted to put a display picture of like of just I was just so over them. And when she came around the corner, she put her arm around me, and it was just like I'm touching Felicity. I'm like, this is, and she leans in on me, and I could smell her hair. I'm like, oh God, man, her hair smells wonderful.
Yeah. As soon as he was done with that, like he came over to me and he was putting his stuff away, and he's like, "Man, she smells so good, man. She smells so good. I'm gonna have to go back." And he did. Before we left, he went back to her again, and
which a lot of times they just say it to be nice, but she said, Tyler, come back and see me. And I said, I think I'll have to do that.
And he's like, yeah. He went back there and gave her a hug, and suddenly his hands going down lower and lower, and she's like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm just making sure you don't have a penis.
Yeah. I'm happy to check that out. And when I went back, she was talking to another guy, and she acknowledged me while she was talking to him. And then when the guy was done talking, he was going to get a picture, and she goes, Tyler, would you mind taking this picture? I'm like, oh my God, she remembered my name. Of all these people, she remembered my name.
To be fair, they were like, she was kind of like, even my girlfriend who went with us was like, I kind of do think she was really flirting with him. So I was telling Tyler on the way back, I was like, dude, like hit her up on Twitter. I actually looked last night, and she does have a Twitter. So you just need to tweet at her and bring her on the show.
Yeah, I definitely have intentions of reaching out to her and ask her if she'd like to come on the podcast.
I think she would do it. I really do.
Yeah.
She probably would. It sounds like she wants to do the show. She wants to do Tyler.
Yeah. Well, we can only hope. But I'll have to send her one of the pictures that we took, because I went back and got another picture with her and another autograph. And Nathan's like, hell, didn't you give me the autograph? Like,
yeah, he got 2 autographs personalized to him. I'm like, dude, you should just get my name put on that one. I would have got a free autograph.
Yeah. I was thinking I was just going to come and talk to her, because I think she was prepared to just kind of just sit and talk with me for a bit. But I told her, I said, I wanted to get another picture with you before I head out of town. And as we're getting ready for the next picture, she's looking at Nathan and Emily and saying, "This is my new boyfriend." I'm like, oh my God. And picture, I said, "Does that mean I get to say you're my new girlfriend?" He goes, "Absolutely." I'm like, oh man. I'm like, oh man, I was just hard nipples, man. I was just,
God damn.
gave me a big hug too. I'm like, oh
Jeez,
man.
you are a lucky son bitch. And just to let everybody in the chat room know, no, Tyler is not married. They were wondering if you were married. Like, no, he's not
No.
married. So
No.
yeah.
I even told them on the way down, I said, I had every intention of asking this woman out, and if she has a room, can I go stay in her room, or I'll go get me a room, and then I can
Yeah,
stay
I was like, shit, I'm gonna have to just drop him off and either come get him back, or he's gonna have to get a flight back or something.
Yeah.
That is damn. That's awesome. That is awesome. Well, it sounds like you definitely, if anything, woof, you had a hell of an experience with her. So, well, Nathan,
I'm actually getting quite worked up as I'm rimming. I'm like thinking deeper and deeper about it. Like I'm kind of getting.
It's a good thing that the camera's only like chest up for you right now.
Yeah, because otherwise this table would be you'd be able to see that this table's tipping up a bit here. Like I'm, it's being jacked up there.
Oh man.
There you go. Well, Nathan, why don't you tell us one of your, good experiences? I know you guys met so many, but maybe one of your favorite ones that you met when you were there.
Well, Tyler actually, surprisingly enough, because before we went to the show, he was like, I have a limit on money. This is who I'm going to go see. And he actually went and visited more people than I did. For me, I only got autographs from the Aliens cast, which was Lance Henriksen, Michael Biehn, and Jeanette. I can't remember her last name, and I feel like a dick for that, but she played Vasquez. And I guess I'll get the funny part of being in Lance Henriksen's line out of the way. Before we decided to jump into the Robert Englund line, we were like, all right, we're right here at this little doorway. Lance is right here. His line's not too long. There's about 20 minutes before they have to get up and go to their photo op or Q&A. I was like, let's do it. So we're going through the line, and they decide to cap that off before he goes on to his thing. And I was the end point, and Tyler was going to be the next guy. And I was like, well, hey, he's with me too. And the guy's like, oh, all right. Well, it ends with him, and told everyone else behind Tyler, hey, we're stopping here. He'll be back in like an hour. But the guy in front of me, and I didn't even know he was in this fucking movie. The guy in front of me, he had a DVD copy of The Dog That Saved Halloween. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, what the fuck is this? Like, what? Like, was he the voice of the dog or something? Like, I don't know. I didn't look into it, but I'm like, of all things that you're going to get him to sign, like, he's been in Aliens. He's been in Pumpkinhead. He's been in Hard Target. He's been in Stone Cold.
Near Dark.
Yeah, like, out of all of these things, you're going to spend, I think Lance's autograph was, what, 60?
Yeah.
With a picture?
Yeah.
You're going to spend $60 to get the insert of your DVD of The Dog That Saved Halloween. Like, what?
It's definitely unique. I guess nobody else.
Like, I looked over at the guy, and I see him take the cover out of the case, and I look at it, and I look at Tyler and Emily, and I kind of like move back and I point, and Tyler like looks over, and I look at him. I'm like, and Tyler like starts to laugh, and I didn't want to say anything like I didn't want to offend the guy, but I'm like, why? God, like
Lance has a series of 8x10 photos of his work.
There were like 28 by 10s of everything in his career. And that's what you're going to get signed.
So what's bizarre is maybe some of these people just want to go for the most obscure, craziest shit you could think of. Because think of that. Out of all the pictures that he has that you're right, everybody can get, and you know that they're probably going to want the main things he's done, to have some goofy shit like you said, The Dog That Saved Halloween with his autograph. Shit, he might be the only person that even has it. Like, look what I got.
No, yeah, I would agree with you on that point, because when I met Gunnar Hansen a couple times, everyone was coming up like, oh, sign my chainsaw or sign this Leatherface print. And I went up to him with a VHS copy of the movie Mosquito that he was in. And then the next time I met him, I took a original poster of Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers. So I definitely get that aspect of it. But I want to know, and I wanted to ask the guy, I'm like, are you doing this ironically, or does this movie actually hold like some sentimental value to you? I can't imagine how, but maybe it did.
You never know. Everybody has a weird experience, but no, that sounds pretty cool. Now Tyler, you met everybody from Aliens also. Was there any big one of the three that you got to sign something that you wanted to meet the most, or was more excited about meeting?
All three. They were when I met Lance. He was like somebody a lot taller than you think, and he was a lot older too. Like I've seen so many interviews with this man for years, watched so much footage of him, and it just when you see a lot of people in person, they look a lot older in person, and he looked a lot older in person. But he was so energetic and lively and laughing and talking with everybody. He was standing up and he wasn't sitting down or anything like that. You know, he looked the oldest of all three of them, but man, he was the most energetic.
Yeah.
And,
you usually get that with some of the guests. Like they will just sit at their table until you like ask for a picture, and then they'll get up. But as soon as we approached him, I don't even think he was sitting then. But like as soon as we approached him, he was just standing there, and just super polite and appreciative because we both took original folded movie poster of Aliens. I actually. Do you want to give the story on the Aliens poster on your end, or do you want me to go ahead and tell it?
We went to the Big Hillsville Flea Market. This is about 10 years ago, and there was a vendor selling vintage movie posters for $5 a piece, like all original prints. These were not reproductions. And we're flipping through, and I found a copy of Aliens, and I grabbed it so fast, and Nathan saw it at the same time I'm grabbing it, and Nathan about lost his shit. And I was like, this is mine. I'm not, this is mine. And all Nathan could look, it's got to be another one. It's got to be another one. It's got to be another one.
Well, no, because there were two, he had like multiple posters of the same film because there was like a Tentacles poster. Tyler got one of the Chuck Norris movie Octagon. I got like Rocky 3, but there were like multiple ones of a few of these. And I'm feverishly like going through, I'm like, please be another Aliens in here because they're only fucking $5. And I'm like, this would have been amazing. So I never had one for the longest time, and then last week I went on eBay and bought one, surprisingly kind of cheaper than I thought it would, and those were the items that we both took to get signed by the cast.
Yeah, which is just the Aliens logo. Like it's not Sigourney and Newt; it's the Aliens logo with the or black background with Aliens written in blue. This time it's war. So that's what we had the Aliens cast autograph, and when I got up there, I felt like, you know, Aliens is always going to be asked. He's going to sign an Aliens poster. I want to ask him about some of his other films, and I decided to combine two movies into one question, and I asked him about Hard Target and Quick and the Dead, about him playing very cocky, charismatic, confident characters, and he was just elaborated that when he plays these kind of roles, it needs to be believable to him that he could actually do these kinds of things, that he could be a marksman. And he started elaborating on his character in Hard Target about that that him and the character Arnold Vosloo, who actually I think served in South Africa. I forgot the exact position that he served in, but had background into what his kind of character is portrayed in as the character pick. And he said that when they met, they kind of elaborated on their background in the movie for their characters. It was just like, it was fascinating to hear the depths that actors will go into just for their own peace of mind. Like the audience will never know the backstory that these two actors put together, but it helps make their chemistry on film seem so flawless and be so fluid that you feel like these guys have known each other for years and worked together for years. And that all comes down to them working together out of backstory. And it was just fascinating to hear that. And of course, I had it in my mind too, and I've made this mistake multiple times too, having an idea of what I want to do with the guests for a picture. And I wanted to do a face-off of like how Van Damme and Lance do at the end of Hard Target, like when they're holding the piece of wood on fire and staring each other down. And asked if I could do that, and he laughed out loud and said, "Look at this guy! This guy wants to be an actor." And then he just
he like did that, and then was like, "Man, that's ridiculous." And he's like, "Hey, get in here," and like pulled Tyler in, and I'm just kind of like laughing. And I at that moment I was like, "Is he gonna be sort of disappointed when he walks away from this?" And And the good thing about going to these with Tyler is, as many people that have listened to these episodes know, he's just got like this steel trap of information, movie information. He remembers everything. And he's really good at asking questions, like in-depth questions, hitting people with stuff that you visibly see the guest sort of light up, because it's like, no one's asked me that in a long time, or today, or this weekend, whatever. And I just sort of sit there and just sort of like throw little things out every now and again. So I usually let him go ahead of me and get the conversation going. And then I'll occasionally throw some stuff out. Like Tyler is way more interactive with the guests than I am. I'm just kind of like, hey, appreciate your work. Like my interaction with Lance was as simple as I put the poster down. And he's like, oh yeah, like I really like that poster. And I was like, I debated on bringing the Pumpkinhead poster that I had. He was like, oh, that was a good one too. I mean, it wasn't a full-size theatrical release poster. It was the one that came with the Shout Factory Blu-ray that came out a year or two ago.
Oh, I've never seen that.
But he was like, yeah, that was a good one. And then he started talking about Stan Winston and like how close they were and everything. And I mean, that was really cool. But with the other two Aliens cast members, like especially Michael Biehn, like Tyler got a lot of information out of him.
Yeah. Which it was, God, man, when it's there, nothing compares. Like I don't care how much you can downplay or the excitement. The excitement can be out of this world, like into another stratosphere. When you come face to face with some of these people that you've watched their movies for so long, it's not just something you say. It really is a surreal experience. And we saw Michael, pass us in the hallway, and I'm like, oh my God, there's Hicks, Kyle Reese, Johnny Ringo walking right by, and and then when he looks at you and he's sitting at him like, oh, this is it, man. This is do or die, man. This is the chance of a lifetime. Here he is, and I lean forward and shake his hand, tell him who I am, and I ask him about being cast later on in Aliens. That as an actor, are there different preparations you have to make, since filming had already been started for about 3 weeks, and then James Remar is fired. They asked Michael to come in and fill in the role, and he said what made that transition good is that since he worked on the Terminator with Jim Cameron and Gale Anne Hurd, they knew him. They knew what kind of actor he was. They knew what he could and couldn't do. So that's why they asked him to come in. So that's why they felt that if we can get him, he can come in and just kind of take over the role immediately without having to worry about a lot of prep and practice. Because he told me also that he didn't have to do, which I know he'd said in other interviews too. Of course, you get wrapped up in the moment, but that he didn't have to go through any kind of training like the rest of the cast of the Marines had to do. He just comes in, he's already in shape, and just takes over the role and just goes from there. And that's just what made it such an easy. And he said too, he's like, you watch the film, he's like, I don't have that many lines in the film, so it wasn't a whole lot of dialogue to remember. He said there's maybe like 15 lines of dialogue that he has in the movie, so it wasn't a whole lot to remember. And then I asked him, I said, well, one more question too. I was like, I want to ask you about your gunplay in Tombstone, and what kind of training that went through. And he seemed to really enjoy talking about the sequence, which is what I was specifically talking about when he comes face to face with Doc Holliday, and they're challenging. And he pulls the gun out and is talking about how he would flick the gun in his hand and cock it at the same time, and then doing the maneuvers over and around. And he was talking about the guy that trained him, and that it would take him 1 out of 10 takes to get the routine completely done. And that he would mess up at the very end, or mess up halfway through, or mess up the first, it was so elaborate. And it was just, I guess, the best of everything that he had done is what you see in the movie. And I said, well, I know as an actor, there's a lot of the character that's on the page, and then the actors tend to bring a lot to that role as well. And I said, how much of Johnny Ringo was the page and how much of it was you? And he stopped, and I look at Nathan, and Michael kind of turns, and he's thinking. And this is the longest pause that of all the guests me and Nathan dealt with, we've never had anybody do this.
It was a good 20, 30 seconds. You see him just I can't remember if he's rubbing his chin, but you can see him kind of grinning while he's thinking.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
And he's thinking, he's slowly starting to smile a little bit more. I'm like, man, he's really thinking about this. This is really cool. And he looks at me and goes, at that time in my career, I was Johnny Ringo. And I looked at it, I was like, that's so badass, man. Like, this guy is cool as hell, man. He was just so cool and confident, and like, no, I was Johnny Ringo. Like saying that I was that cool. That's what made Johnny Ringo stand out, is because he really believes I am the ultimate badass. I'm the ultimate gunslinger. I'm the best in the West.
Maybe him, like, with that hesitation and thinking about it, was him, like, sort of just slipping into character for about 5 seconds and coming back out or something.
Yeah, it was something that, I mean, it was priceless to get that kind of reaction. You know, when you can watch interviews with Michael from the 80s and all the way up to today, you know, he's very appreciative, but I always felt it's so important to ask him stuff, be specific. That's what makes the time with these guests. Everybody says the same thing, which is fine. Maybe you don't have a whole lot to say. Or as like Nathan said, Posier's like, oh man, I love you in that one movie, man. That was cool, man. Oh, thank you. You kind of feel like that's it? That's all you got to say? This is your one time to meet this actor who lives out in California. You may never see him again, and all you can say is, yeah, I thought you were really cool in Aliens, man. Was that real? You know, or something silly like that.
Yeah. Here, sign my chainsaw.
Yeah, sign my chainsaw. You know, I wasn't what? Okay. You know, so I just always like to prep in advance to have something very specific. You know, because I'm a junkie for behind the scenes footage. I love documentaries, and I really wanted to ask stuff that, you know, was not the generic stuff. And he seemed very appreciative of that. And he was really, really cool, really sincere, just very. I told Nathan right in front of us, I could talk to Michael for hours about his work. I mean, all 3 cast members of Alien, I could have sat for hours just asking him questions about very specific stuff. So, and then I stood back and then Nathan let Nathan have time with Michael, and I just kind of sat and was just enjoying more of just, you know, Nathan conversing with him. And when we wrapped up, I nodded and waved at Michael, and he waved back at me there too. I'm like, oh man, and then Vasquez was right next to him.
Yeah.
So we
which our time with her got cut kind of short because they thought initially that they were getting pulled to either go do another thing like the Q&A or the photo op. I can't remember which one was which between the two, but they come up, it's like, oh, you know, we got to do this. So Tyler started talking to her, and then like as he got his stuff signed in the middle of talking to her, they did that, and I was just like, well, here, sign my shit. And then it was real quick, and it was like, oh no, false alarm, and we were already kind of exchanged pleasantries with her.
You know, seeing as I don't have really any experience of going to things like this, you know, I know the other side of those conventions are you guys and people going for like maybe finding weird merchandise, having fun buying stuff. Is there a hard balance between doing that and getting your autographs, you know, like trying to do that all in a day? Or is it maybe you really don't even care about looking for as much merchandise when you're wanting to meet the celebrities? You know, like I don't know how it balances, you know, if we're doing it in a day or two. I just was wondering what your thoughts were with like that.
All the other times we went were different than this time, and they were different before because we would go on a Friday and get stay at the hotel that they were doing the convention at, and then go check it out the rest of it on Saturday, and then we would get out of there. And I would recommend to anyone, if there's anyone watching this in the chat right now that hasn't been to a convention and wants to go to a convention, go on Friday. Saturday is always the busiest day. Sunday is not as busy, but Friday is the least busiest out of the 3 days. You go there. Every year that we went on a Friday, we got the majority of our autographs knocked out in that little bit of time. The lines are minimal. You can spend more time with the guest, which is amazing. There's lots of conversations that Tyler and I have had with people that we wouldn't have gotten that time on a Saturday.
And then a Saturday could possibly be your day if you're wanting to buy stuff and see what kind of cool merchandise they have, or what?
Yeah, Saturday is more of a vendor day. I know with this year, Mine was more of, well, since I didn't get Robert England's autograph, I'll just use this money and look and see what the vendors have, which is where this shirt came from. And I bought a few other little knickknacks, but
yeah, stand up, you gotta let people see that shirt a little bit better. That's some cool shit right there. That's Jason from.
Stand up here. Yeah, it's from the video game.
That's
Your
cool.
Friends are dead. Game over.
Yeah, I like that. Did you find any other cool merchandise pieces, you and Tyler, or what?
The rest of my stuff was mostly just fridge magnets. They were like Universal Monster ones, and they had like some arcade cabinet things, banners that were made into magnets. So I picked up quite a few of those. I don't think Tyler bought anything from the vendors.
No, the guy who was selling magnets, of the banners of arcade games like Double Dragon, Alien vs. Predator, Contra. They look so cool. I mean, and of course at that time we were just kind of browsing as we were kind of going to work our way to see who else. And I wasn't ready to really spend any other money.
Yeah.
And there's vendors selling NECA action figures and customized, dolls and things like that, various T-shirts and stickers and lots of action figures being sold that are meant on card, or, there's a box of, vintage He-Man figures laying on the floor. Of course, I got all of them. I don't need to bother looking through that. Classic He-Man classics figures are being sold. They have all T-shirts of all kinds of original artwork. People selling their original artwork prints and things. It's jam packed with all kinds of action, horror, sci-fi, pop culture stuff.
And some stuff's reasonably priced, and then some stuff's just like too much.
Well, like JSP in the chat room, he was saying that you might get a better deal on Sunday because vendors don't want to have to load all that shit back up on their,
Yeah, that's entirely true. We've never hung around long enough to see if that was the case with these, but I imagine that's what they would do.
Yeah.
At least some of their stuff. But also the other irritating thing about some of the vendors, especially the ones that sell action figures or like 11 by 17 posters, is you'll see a lot of shit that's been signed by guests from previous Mad Monsters. And I'm like, so you went and you got their autograph and now you're just trying to resell it. Like, I kind of hate that. I mean, I understand it, but I hate resellers. But if you plan to go, obviously you need to, especially now, you need to make sure that you are financially prepared. If you're going to stay, have that money for the hotel room, go ahead, book it way in advance. And the autograph thing, like Tyler before, and this was an interesting changeover for me because when we first started going, Tyler would take a lot of money and he would spend all of it. He's like, and he would go to some people multiple times. Like, I think he's met Chris Sarandon 3 times or something like that. And he would just be like, oh, this is great. This is great. And I think by about year 3 for me, I was like, I started getting jaded. I'm like, the prices are going up. They're pushing the photo op thing a lot more. The crowds are starting to get bigger. This venue kind of sucks for the bigger crowds because the last year that we went before this one, it was held at the same hotel that I hated the last time that we went. Because I'm like, there's a shitload of people in here. There's only like 2 ballrooms. I think they have a couple other for the bigger guests. And it's just constant. Like you're just like this side by side with everybody. And they don't space out the vendors and the guests. They should just put the guests in one room and the vendors in the other. Because you're sitting around, like Tyler was saying, we're passing these vendors. I'm like, oh, hey, look at that. Just moving through the line just so we can find out where we need to go get our next autograph from and locate that person. And it was so, I wouldn't recommend it for anyone that hates large crowds in a small space like that. They need to move to a convention center that just has wide open space because there was very minimal parts in that space that like you could just stand and not have anyone 2 feet away from you. And it was just constant shuffling. And, I got the book bag and it's getting knocked around and Tyler's stuff got bumped into constantly.
Yeah.
It was such a pain in the ass.
Has it always been in the same venue where they've had this Mad Monster where you go?
No, they've bounced from the hotel they've done it this year. And then this other hotel, the Sheraton, which is, I think they had it there for the first
2 years.
Yeah, the first 3 years, and then that fourth year they went to the other one. And I think there was a year they went even further south into South Carolina and actually tried a convention center, but they did all this other dumb shit with like carnival rides and everything. And I think that cost them too much money. So they came back to Charlotte. But they need to find a bigger space.
Yeah, because the place where I'm at, I always say we don't have much where I'm at, but 2 years ago we had something called Fantasticon, and everybody here was pretty excited because we never see anything like that. And I went, and it was very small. There was like a room that, and I'm not exaggerating when I say this, I really am not. But the room I'm in right now is the size to where they had some of the celebrities that were signing autographs. They were like butted up next to each other with their tables so close, like here's one, here's the other. I mean, they were so damn close. So it was like a congested area, and they weren't really big super celebrities, as you know. Like maybe some of them were a lot of, from a lot of TV shows that maybe were in the 80s, 70s, and maybe people forgot about them, whatever. So it was nothing to excite me. And then I went to the next room, which was bigger, and it was like maybe the size of a bingo hall. And that's where they would sell like any of the vendor stuff and figures. And it was pretty cool, but I think that they weren't ready for this area for having people coming in being excited for stuff like this because we've never had nothing. But the turnout was so good that they moved to another like area, like a convention center, if you would, just maybe 2 blocks down. And it was bigger, and they had more celebrities and a little more named people. Nobody super gigantic, but still some more faces you could recognize. And then they brought in like the Ghostbusters vehicle, Kit from Knight Rider. They had Optimus Prime's semi front from the Transformers movie. So they had, a lot of other things, but I've never experienced what you guys have with like, Robert Englund and people from Sleepaway Camp or Aliens or any big movies. It hasn't happened, but there is a Fantasticon coming up, I think March 10th, maybe here where I live. I think it's the 10th. And I'll go. I don't know if they had a list of the celebrities, but yeah, when I go, usually half the time it's just to look for, the merchandise because the celebrities are never usually big celebrities. Like when Tyler was, it's sad for me, but like when Tyler was saying, hey, I seen that they had a bin of He-Man figures. It's all stuff I had, and like some might be junk. I sat there, and it's almost like what JSP said. I went on Sunday, and this guy just had a bin of old 80s He-Man figures. And they're beat up to hell with no armor, no weapons, no nothing. And he was originally wanting like $5 for them. I came on Sunday, they were still there. And I said, man, how about just $1 a piece? I said, these are all junk. I said, I'm going to use them for customs anyways. And he was like, okay. So I got like maybe 20 of his figures for $1 a piece. So I would hope to experience what you guys did. I'd love for a big name celebrity to come. So maybe if I cross my fingers, it'll happen this year.
No, I mean that would be cool if it did, because the experience of meeting them, and I know I'm a jaded piece of shit now. Like Tyler still has this little glimmer of like optimism about things, but when I go, and I knew that it was going to be at the same hotel as it was the last time that either of us had gone, I was like, it's gonna be bad. I just went into it like the crowd's gonna be bad. I'm gonna be fighting that all day. And I'm like, all right, well, it'll be worth it. Aliens cast, get them to sign this post, that'd be sweet. And I get to meet Robert Englund, and then that didn't happen. And it just sort of.
Yeah, I know. Some things can definitely get you pissed off.
I mean, it was good. It was great meeting them. It was fantastic. They were nice to us. It's just all those other elements that it's not the fault of the people that are there in attendance. It's the fault of the people that put the show on. Because I'm looking at it, I'm like, here's multiple doors coming into this room. If you just have the guests, you could set up the tables, have it roped off to where there's actual lines. Because when Tyler went to meet Amanda Weiss from Nightmare on Elm Street, like there were other guest tables lined up like that, and then you had these lines, but they're also mixed in with all these people that are trying to move around and look at vendor stuff too. There just wasn't any space.
No, and it's what you were saying earlier about like the gigantic line for Robert Englund, and then how you said there was some of the people there that I got Jason's autograph, I got Michael Myers' autograph, and that's the thing they should have known and expect if Mad Monster, at least at the beginning, was known for mainly the horror stuff, and if it still is, when you hear the name Robert England, you should know that is immediate insanity because definitively that Robert England is Freddy Krueger. Unlike the men behind the masks of Michael and Jason, a lot of them aren't super known. Now, I'm not saying they're not, but I'm saying if you say like Nick Castle, Dick Warlock to a lot of people, they might absolutely be lost. So, okay, who are you talking about? Who's CJ Graham? Who are these people? When you're saying names. But when you say Robert England, you know it's Freddy. And as for the Jason character, the most iconic known is Kane Hodder. That's another person you think that would be in demand. But you're right, they should have been a lot more prepared knowing you were bringing Freddy Krueger here. I mean, that face, you know who it is. And to see that they weren't that prepared, that is a shame because, damn, you didn't get a chance to get the autograph from the guy that's one of the most iconic horror characters in history.
It's an every year thing. They always mess it up somehow. Like if it's not with their bigger guest, it's with the photo ops. That last year we went before that, the photo ops thing was just a cluster. Like I'm surprised because Tyler had to wait. You waited a really long time just to get the picture developed that you took, right?
On that Sunday, because you had already left. The last time it was at the venue we were at was the third year we went, and that's when I met Hulk Hogan. I stayed till Sunday just to get his autograph and stuff like that. I did have to wait. I think it was around 30-40 minutes for my photo op to be printed off because as they were taking them, they were working on printing them off. So me and my girlfriend at the time went and got something to eat, and then when we came, fortunately we came back and it was ready to go. But Nathan's girlfriend at the time never got her picture with William Shatner, so they just got fed up and left because it wasn't a good experience anyway with William Shatner. However, we found it and we brought it to him, but it wasn't around till Sunday apparently.
Yeah,
so
they did the thing with those too. Like, they would just put them on a table and just like scatter them around. Yeah. I'm like, who's to say that like this person couldn't just walk up and just like take this picture? I don't know why they would want it, but people are shitty that like that. So, yeah. Nah.
But I mean, overall, I mean, it was still an absolute blast. I have no regrets, other than yes, it would have been but if they hadn't cut the line for Robert England, we probably would have been waiting around till 5 or 6 o'clock, and I don't think I would have had the patience to wait for Robert that long because I wouldn't have had. We wouldn't have known if we'd missed the Aliens cast or Felissa or Amanda. It was just one of those things. You're like, you know what? It sucks, but God, we had such a great time with everybody else that it really counteracted the blow of not getting it because it just. We'd have been waiting too damn long. And when you got all this other stuff going on and you're confined to that line, it's a bit bittersweet that you're going to be missing out on all this other stuff because you're just waiting for one autograph. And, at least to our credit, we didn't have a bad experience with anybody this year. We've gone in past years, and Tom Savini's been a douchebag to both me and over 2 separate years.
Yeah. They keep bringing him back, and I don't know why.
Yeah,
he's such an asshole. Like, he's really nice to like attractive females that come to his table, but everyone else, he gives. And I read about it on the internet before we went the first year that he started coming to the con, and they would say the Savini eye, and I read up a little more on it, and it's like once he kind of has it in his head that he doesn't really want to interact with you, you kind of get that look from him.
Yeah,
and my experience was already ruined because my girlfriend at the time we got in the elevator and Tom Savini's in there. And in my head, I'm like, oh shit, and she looks at me kind of grinning and she says something smart ass to him. Tyler remembers what she said because I told him. He was like, what did she say to him?
Like, how do you feel about, being around all these people that are big fans of yours? How do you react to that when you're around them so frequently? Is pretty much what she was asking, because when you're at the hotel, you will see celebrities come out of the elevator eating in the cafe just as you, and they're fans eating with the celebrities a lot. I did it a lot myself. And when she asked him that, he's like, "Oh, I just try to ignore it."
Yeah. And then like looked at us both like really shitty, and I was like planning to go down and get his autograph, which I did. Because in my head, you know, when he got announced, I was really excited. I'm like, he's done all these special effects, Sex Machine and From Dusk Till Dawn. I'm like, that's the picture I want to get like him to sign. And I went and I got a picture with him too, and you can just see it on his face. He was just like, man, fuck this guy. Like he already had it in his head that he didn't like me for, I don't know if it was her fault or not, but like he just and even because he was there this year, and we walked past his table, and you would see people, because as we're shuffling through the vendors and the guests just in this little small area, like you see him sitting at his table, and he's just sort of people watching, but he's just looking at everyone like really angry, like, why are you stopping at my table and you know, spending your money on my autograph? Like, I'm Tom Savini, damn it. And it's just like, I so bad I want to walk past this table and just be like, you're a dick.
That's what you should do next time you see someone say, hey, fucker, sign this. Maybe he'd appreciate it.
So there are bad experiences.
Yeah. But overall, this time, other than Robert, which we did get a chance to meet him, we did see him, but we didn't have a bad experience with anybody. I mean, everybody was a sweetheart to us. Everybody was really cool. Overall, I think we could probably count maybe 5 incidents over the years we've gone to Mad Monster where guests were just really cold and very unfriendly to us, or they weren't really paying attention to us. I mean, overall, it's just the ungodly prices they will ask. You know, some actors will tell you if you want a poster sign, they charge you more. They'll charge you less than 8x10. But if you're getting a poster sign, like, oh, that'll be $80. We charge more for posters. Like, but fortunately, nobody was like that this year. Everybody was charging the same price for whatever it was. Didn't matter. There was no you know, Rutger Hauer pulled that crap. Chris Sarandon pulled it the 3rd time I met him, which broke my heart. And I was trying to think if somebody else had done that too. But for the most part, everyone's, you know, not asking more to sign certain things. And plus with everything we're getting it personalized. We're not just asking you to write your name on there so I can put it on eBay and charge $1,000 for it. Yeah. Like, no, it's going to be put at my home. I'm not put my name on there. You know, I'm not trying to resell it and make money off of you.
Yeah, we get them personalized with our name on them, and then most of the time we get like movie quotes.
Yeah, sometimes you ask for a movie quote or a quote from a cartoon where the guy looks at you like you're fucking crazy when you ask for this particular quote that you want that somebody said to somebody else in a cartoon, like maybe Skeletor to He-Man. I don't know. Some people experience this weird shit.
Yeah, that's
I think I know where you're getting at with that one.
And someone else would go see him in Texas, and he's like, "Oh, sure, kid, whatever you want. I'll gladly put that entire quote on. Some more than 7 words, no problem there. You have a good day, bud."
Exactly. Does it for somebody else, got it done for you. Well, I know it will probably be wrapping up soon. I wanted to do something real quick for somebody in the chat room. We got Jake Juggalo in there. A lot of people know him. So I just want to say, yo, what up, everybody? You know me. It's your homie, Jake Juggalo. Thank you for tuning in to Beyond Retro. So there, I had to do that for Jake in the chat room.
Yeah, he's always sharing the link to the show, I think.
He's a good guy. He's
always sharing a link to our show on his Facebook, so I greatly appreciate you doing that, sir.
Yes, Jake's a good guy. And everybody here, JSP, everybody's in the chat room, so thank you for joining us. I do appreciate it. Hope you did enjoy this episode. And
if you didn't enjoy this episode, we're placing all the blame on Joe Amato. No, originally we were going to do American Gladiators. And since our experience was like bittersweet yesterday, Tyler and I were like, well, you know, we'll touch on it the first 20 minutes of the show. And Joe was like, no, let's make it a whole episode.
It was, you guys, everybody, yes, blame me because I haven't experienced stuff like this, and I wanted to hear it all. And from all of the, you know, characters that you went and seen, I mean, the people, but I mean, I'll admit, when I know that Tyler, when you got that picture with Felissa, yes, that was boner alert. I said, I just got to hear this story because I couldn't imagine meeting her in person. I probably wouldn't have let go. Security had to get me the hell off of her because that would have been some issues. So I just wanted to hear the stories and all your guys' stories. But her, yeah, she pretty much it topped it all for me.
Oh yeah, she placed herself on me, so I didn't have to worry about overstepping boundaries or anything like that.
Shit, you shouldn't even let go. You should just stay the whole time. Like, Nathan, just go do whatever the fuck you want. I'm gonna stay right here until she's tired of this.
I mean, we should, like, Tyler needs to reach out to her. We need to see if we can get her on this show.
Yes.
You know, she's got a website where you can buy merchandise from her, contact and stuff like that. So I intend to like send a picture of like, hey, you know, this is who I am. That
you remember me?
You remember me? You still want to go out sometime? You know?
Yeah. She's like, I was just trying to get your money. I don't know who the hell you are. Like, oh.
I mean, it could turn out that way, but I don't know. That was some legit flirting. I really genuinely believe that.
See, this is what helps is that Nathan had nothing to do with interacting with her. He's just watching.
Yeah.
Because when you're meeting these people, you're thinking, oh man, they really like me, and you're like, dude. They're there to be nice to you. They're not going to make you feel uncomfortable. It's like going to a strip club or a Hooters restaurant. You know, the girls are going to be nice to you. That's what they're there for. You know, but Felissa didn't have to interact with me because I watched her interact with another guy or two guys in front of me, and I didn't see that kind of behavior with these other guys.
There could have been a little thing there. No doubt. I believe that. Man, I bet she did smell good too. Probably nice and soft. And
she was soft and it's just so shapely. Like her body was just something you just want to, oh God, you just want to grab a hold of her.
You could just see Tyler when he was walking up and approaching her. He's kind of like puffing his chest out a little bit more. If he would have had like oil, he probably would have like oiled up his arms a little bit to make him like.
You know where the weight room is?
You know, like let me just kind of, how are you, kind of thing.
Yeah, I got down, did some push-ups on the floor to get a good pump in my forearms and my biceps there, and that way my chest was a little bit more puffed out a little bit, so that way it looked all natural. I did have Michael Bean look at me and go, "You work out, man?"
You're like, nah, shit, I don't do that. This is
and even Vasquez, like, because I sort of did the people watching thing there too. Like, he walked up and she sort of just like sort of looked down and sort of like checked him out, so like gave him the up and down look there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like, man, Tyler's just putting out the vibe at this convention today.
There you go. That's awesome, man. Oh shit. So no, this was fun. I wanted to hear all the experiences. Yeah, that was great. So, well, I'm sure we'll be wrapping up here. So Nathan, you go ahead and do your thing. How you want to wrap it up and tell everybody what to do, what to subscribe.
Tyler's already smiling. He's like, yeah, you're gonna mess it up again, aren't you?
He ain't gonna mess it up. He's gonna do it perfect.
Well, no, I think before we wrap it up, I mean, are there any more questions that you had for us? Do you want us to divulge any more on like some of our favorite guests from previous ones real quick? Or
no, that did it for me. I enjoyed every bit of what you guys went. I mean, well, what you told me of what you went through, and you said some of the stuff about in the past, but no, I not to say envy you, but sure I do. I'd hope that someday that there's people like that come to where I live. I'd love to meet them, but no, I just wanted to hear the stories. No, there's nothing else I'd need to know. You guys pretty much summed it up.
Well, Tyler, you got any final thoughts?
I mean, I had a lot of fun, reminiscing about it. It's always you're like, I remember when we got back from Charlotte, I went to the gym late last night and I was listening to like the soundtrack of Aliens while I was working out. I even told Janez, like, because I asked her about, her workout routine when she was, on the film, and she was talking about her past history and bodybuilding and stuff like that, which she really enjoyed talking about. I was like trying to always emphasize something they don't always get asked. But where the hell was I going with this?
The Frank Drebin moment. We get that maybe once every other week, I think.
Of what my point of that whole story was.
Basically, you told her that you worked out to the soundtrack.
Well, yeah, and she thought that was really cool that I listened to, and I do. I got the soundtrack, on like multiple iPods that I like to listen to when I'm working out. But it was a lot of fun. I mean, it's such a high when me and Nathan come back from these things. That you're just on such a high of like you come back to reality. You're like, now you go back home after hanging out with people that you've watched in movies for 20-30 years, and you're like, how do you go back to like regular life after that? You're just like, now I go back to work after hanging out with Michael Bean and hugging all over Felissa. You're like, how do you? I can see why celebrities, go off the deep end when their careers are not anywhere, where it used to be. You're like, how do you go back to anything less than that? And I always deal with that every year. Like, you come back from this, all you can do is think about, oh, it was so cool, so exciting, and you're on a high. Like, you want to watch all these movies of these people that they were in, and I still intend to do that. And it's just like, all you can think is like, oh man, it's just, you just can't stop thinking about it. And all we just talked about on the way home while Nathan's cussing while driving, son of a bitch, just randomly,
And Tyler's just sitting there smelling his shirt like, some more Felicia.
I was just reminiscing, just reflecting. I was pulling my phone up, looking at this picture. I was like, God, we look good together.
Yeah, I was wondering, because like he was sitting in the back seat, and I kept looking in the rearview mirror, and he was looking at his phone. So that's what you were looking at the whole time. You just kept looking at those pictures.
A lot of times, yeah.
Well, Nathan, just as long as Nathan, you weren't hearing.
Yeah.
There was no lotion in the back seat, so I had no. There was no lube in the back there, so it was just reminiscing about, like, man, you know what? I came down here to possibly flirt with this beautiful woman, and by God, I got to do it. It was. I told him, I said, I had to pay $40 to do it. Man, I'd have paid more for the experience I had with her, because she didn't.
That's a damn good $40, no doubt.
I'll say too, before we wrap up, I don't get quite the high that Tyler does in regards to meeting him. To me, it settles and sinks in when I can, because I have the Fright Night poster directly in front of me that has autographs on it from pretty much the majority of the living cast, and I'm intend on getting a frame and putting the Aliens poster on the other side right here. That's when it really sinks in for me. It's just to constantly like look at this stuff, see that it's signed, personalized to me, has all these quotes on it, and then I
cool.
think about the times.
That's cool as shit, yeah.
I guess I would also say in closing too, before I get to the other closing that I'm probably gonna mess up and get shit for, that if you haven't been to a convention, and I've already said it before, plan it out, figure out who you want to get for sure. Have like a little maybe pile of guests that you want to meet, but kind of have a price range in mind of how much you want to take. There might be some vendor stuff there that you want to get. Most of the times Tyler and I don't buy a lot of stuff from the vendors, because it's a lot of the same vendors that have come year after year. I saw this shirt and I'm like, all right, well, I want to at least get that. Be nice to people around you. Like, I know it's kind of tough for me to do. I'm in the crowds and I kind of like loudly make fun of it. But for the most part, people are, even though we're crammed in there like sardines, people are nice and polite. And they're like, I'm sorry, excuse me, for the most part. So try your best. I'm not that good at it, but try your best to be polite in such situations. Hand sanitizer, of course, because God, so many people, they were probably coming off of the flu or any other crud. And I'd say personal hygiene, because they're
probably smelled like Fritos and rotten cheese or what?
Dude, after so many people are going in
people ever. It's territory. I will say the last one that Nathan, the last time it was at this hotel, the year that I met Hogan and Elvira, waiting in line for Elvira, the body odor was ungodly. It was really hot. It was warm outside. This was like in late March, close to April. My girlfriend was with me, and it was so bad. And you could just look around, you just try to figure which one of these, guys covered in black chose not to bathe today, and it was just filling the hallway up while people are in line. They're all sweating, waiting for their picture taken with it. It was awful. God, it was just, fortunately, it wasn't that bad this year. It really.
I don't think we were there long enough for the ass smell to settle into the whole place.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate. These people who come out to get autographs, you can look at them and you're like, okay, you probably didn't bathe, did you? You want to hug all over. Let's get the hell out of here.
Yeah, and I've seen it before. Danielle Harris that played Jamie in Halloween.
Yummy.
Yeah. No, she's nice, but you could see the uncomfortableness on her face, like when one of those guys that kind of stunk would like come over there, and it's like, I mean, you would see it. She's just kind of like, all right, like, yeah, get off me.
Mm-hmm.
So plan ahead with your money.
Take a bath.
Wash your hands. Wash your ass. Don't smell. Be nice. Those are the convention tips.
Wash your ass. It's fucking great. All right, go ahead, Nathan. Wrap us up, man.
All right. If you're watching this on YouTube, give the video a like, subscribe to us. We're on Facebook, Beyond Retro. You can look for Nathan Kennedy, Tyler Baker, Joe Amato on Facebook. We post within the pages on there, and Joe's very popular in his customizing community, so I'm sure he obviously gets the word out more than Tyler and I probably could. Go to Pop Culture Network. Videos get posted there, and then after a period of time get posted on Podbean if you want to listen to our voices instead of looking at our faces. I think that about does it, right? Was there anything that I missed?
No, and I think you thanked everybody in the chat room too, so I think you pretty much covered it all. Just remind everybody if they've never seen Felissa Rose, that in Sleepaway Camp, you definitely got to see that movie, and you definitely at least got to don't Google any images. Just see the damn movie if you've never seen the movie, because
it's 2018. If you have not seen Sleepaway Camp, I think it's safe to say that ending has been spoiled to death.
Yeah.
Well, let's just say if somebody by some weird way.
You can't call yourself a horror fan. Like, granted, me and Nathan saw it when we got out of high school, and we watched it late at night, and I was afraid to go downstairs to get a bottle of water after seeing that messed up ending.
She made one hell of a scary face. That face that she did.
What a weird special effect too. I think that played a part in it. Like, just how odd it looked.
Yeah.
Like, it was going to be odd anyway, but just the way that they did it, it's just like, what? Okay.
Yeah.
Weird.
That was creepy as shit. But
that'll be a topic on this podcast. If Felissa, if we couldn't get her, we would at least do a discussion on Sleepaway Camp at some point. But hoping to God, reaching out to her and her sweet spirit, be willing to come on the podcast and just discuss the film and other stuff she's working on or something like that.
Yeah, well, we'll get Tyler on that. He wants to be on that.
I'm not gonna hold back. I aim to try and do that today.
Good gracious. All right. All right. Well, yeah. So again, glad you all joined us. Hope you enjoyed it. It was a blast. And next week we'll be doing American Gladiator. So you can blame Joe for no Gladiators this week, but it will happen next week. So
cool.
See you next week.
We'll see you next week, guys.